how do I hit my sales targets? How do I build a plan to help me get to this number that I've got out there? Whether it is across a team, so multiple people inside an organization, it could be across teams of teams, so multiple teams within inside an organization, or it could be for you as a rep. The same thinking applies in each of those contexts. The first thing we're going to do is we want to identify what is that specific target. So let's say the target, we'll look at this from an individual rep perspective. Let's say the target is 1.2 million, and I'm going to use dollars. I've got a $1.2 million target. First thing I want to think about here is what are the possible ways for me to get to that target? Now, if I've operated inside the organization, I've got existing opportunities, okay? I need to create some new opportunities, right? Typically, if you're inside the same organization, you should have some existing opportunities as you go year over year, because not everything closes last year, not everything closes in a given quarter. But I've got some existing opportunities and I've got some new opportunities. Well, inside the new opportunities, I may want to break those down into smaller sections. So what I typically like to do is think about what is my average deal size. And let's say that my average deal size is 100K. So average deal size is 100K. That's the one that's going to go right in the middle. In order to get to 1.2 million, I have to close 12 of those. I have to close 12 of them. If I happen to have some customers that I've worked with in the past that have a number that's a little bit bigger than 100K, let's say I've got 300K deals at the top, well, on those, I need four 300K deals to get to my 1.2 million. And if 100K is my average, then likely there's going to be a couple of smaller ones. And let's just say that those are 50K deals. So 50K deals, we'll do some simple math. I need 24 of these. I need 12 of the 100K, and I need 4 of the 300K. Now, what will end up happening is a lot of times people will go through and make all the math work for the 1.2. What I'm going to recommend to you is that you make the math in each of these lines add up to that 1.2 separately. So in order to, if I've got a 6-month sales cycle on my 300K deals, and I've got 6 months remaining in the year, I have got to have those conversations going right now. If the conversations aren't happening right now, the likelihood of those deals getting done this year is really, really low. So part of this, I might be setting the stage for where I'm going to be successful next year. My view is if I'm within, let's say I'm within 80% of my number. Typically, if I'm within 80% of my number, I'm living to fight another day. I'm living to fight another day. So 300K, what's that look like from a 6-month timeline perspective? Maybe some of these are existing opportunities. Maybe I've got like 1 or 2 in there, in that pipeline. On the 100K deals, what I want to start thinking about is, okay, well, how do I split up my territory? The area that I'm focusing time, energy, and attention in. How do I split up my territory to support getting those deals done in the time frame that I'm looking for? Right. If my sales cycle is somewhere between 4 and 6 months at that 100K, then I want to design my targets based on something that I know relative to a known event. Now, one of the cool things that we've got coming up here at the end of the year is the end of the year. So you have different fiscal seasons, financial seasons that are happening right now. You're likely talking to people if money is going to become available at the beginning of next year, or they've got money that they need to spend this year, they're probably looking through getting ready to move into their planning cycle here in the next 60 to 90 days. So how can I identify to focus attention on where their fiscal year or some kind of compelling event is going to happen in a period where it starts to make sense for me? All I'm trying to do with all of this stuff is apply a little bit of logic and thinking to the way that I design for success. So $1.2 million number, I need to go in and find 3 paths to it. Maybe it's 4 at 300K, it's 12 at 100K, and it's 24 at 50K. Then build out my specific go-to-market strategy for me as a rep. Maybe you've got some leads that come in from marketing. Lucky you. Maybe you have an SDR that you're working with. Again, lucky you. Go out there and start building your pipeline, figuring out where are the people who I need to talk to hang out? What are they talking about? Who do I know that knows the people that I need to know? How can I leverage my network to gain referrals into those organizations? But from a math perspective, what I want to see is 3 distinct paths to getting to the number. I'd mentioned this applies whether we're talking about individuals or we're talking about teams. So from a team perspective, I want to do the same kind of thing. Let's say I have a $12 million number from a team perspective. Well, some of that is going to come from existing customers. So we've got renewals and we've got expansion. So add-on business. So we'll have, from an existing standpoint, we've got renewals and we've got add-on. This might be your customer success team. This might be an account management team. It's one segment of our team. So what does it needs to be true for our existing customer base to cover the entire number? This is going to feel a little bit like a pipe dream. We're going to be working on hopes and prayers and all of that kind of stuff. But what we're trying to do is envision a view of the future where that thing happens. Do we roll out new products into those organizations? Are there opportunities for growth as we expand inside those organizations? What are the things that need to be true in order for us to hit that number out of the existing base? On the other side, then I want to look at it and say, okay, how much of this money can come from my direct team, depending on how things are structured, versus partnerships, so indirect. How do I segment those things out? And how do I design a specific plan for each of those teams to get to that number? Again, you're going to tell me, look, I don't have enough people. I don't have enough resources. I don't have. Well, play some future building work here in your math and start to say, what needs to be true? Can I create a scenario where I can get to those numbers? If you can, go through and start working on that. If you can't, then start thinking about, okay, well, then what's the maximum I'm going to be able to deliver out of those? And how close does that actually get me to my plan? And where do we get into that whole kind of view of looking into the future? Best case scenario, if everything comes together, like if everything comes together on this side, you're now generating 3.6 million as a rep. That'd be a pretty good freaking year. This side, everybody plays out. We're growing the business at a significantly higher rate. It's not always going to work like that, but my point with all of this is I want to know what my math is, working backward from the number. I want to know what needs to be true. What kind of conversions do I expect? And then what's my strategy inside each of those areas? If this is helpful, let me know. If it's not helpful, ask some questions down below. Somebody else will have that same question that you're wondering about. But this is how I think about designing for success when it comes to executing against sales targets. There should always be 3 paths to hitting that successful metric. If you have those 3 paths, you will de-risk yourself. You will de-risk the situation. Thank you.